column. Me and my buddies were just called over to try and help and stop the events that led up to World War I. But first, what was World War I? World War I, or the Great War, was a global conflict that took place between 1914 and 1918. It was the first industrialized war where trench warfare was extensively used. World War I truly changed the world. It soon led to the Russian Revolution, the collapse of the German Empire, and the collapse of the Habsburg monarchy. Today, it is remembered for the horrors of warfare, the sacrifice of millions of soldiers, and the effect it had on the rest of the 20th century. But where exactly did this all start? One major event that led up to World War I was the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. In order to prevent this event from happening, my team has come up with a plan. When he was in Sarajevo, Bosnia, the Archduke was assassinated by Gavrilo Princip. My plan is to hire a private investigator to find out about his attacker. Luckily, my friend Christoph knows just how to do the job. The materials I need to carry out this plan include my private investigator, as well as enough money to help fund this mission. Because the assassination occurred in June, I would have scheduled a meeting with my detective in May. This way, we had enough time to discuss ideas, and he could further plan his investigation on the Archduke and the assassination. 2 weeks before his assassination, in June of 1914, I will let my detective know of suspicions that I have regarding the Archduke's safety. I can gather the funds of money needed to aid this investigation from the government balance that would have otherwise been used to fund the war. Throughout the week of the expected assassination, the Archduke would have been heavily secured, and Gavrilo Princip would be monitored.
This sounds like a great plan.
Gavrilo Princip would then be under so much suspicion and investigation that there would be no way for him to safely continue out his plan without being caught.
You're under arrest.
Oh no! Therefore, the Archduke will be able to continue his trip safely, and Austria-Hungary will not declare war on Serbia. Another major cause for World War I's occurrence were the mutual defense alliances.
The Triple Alliance consisted of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy.
Meanwhile, the Triple Entente consisted of France, Britain, and Russia.
Woo!
Once Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, Russia ran to Serbia's aid. Different nations came to help either Austria-Hungary or Serbia, depending on which side of the alliance they supported. However, due to this alliance system, a disagreement between the two nations turned into a war. It's the name the Great War. Here, I'll move it over here.
Both of the alliances were on edge, perceived threat by the other alliances.
Solution: to schedule a meeting with both of the alliances to rid of any suspicions one might have towards the other. In this meeting, we will discuss mutual agreements. Perhaps a few countries contain resources that the others desire. Arrangements can be made for the benefit of both alliances. Therefore, secret suspicions had towards one another will be diminished. There will be no two sides in competition with one another, but rather one large united alliance. Because there might be some difficulties in gathering leaders from each of these involved countries, I will send out my own representatives to urge this arrangement. On their pilgrimage, my representatives will convince these nations to comply. The meeting will be held in a neutral territory to avoid any threats or further suspicions. To avoid conflict, the best place for this would either be in Spain or Portugal, two places uninvolved in these quarrels. Skeptics might find it apprehensive to meet with nations of rival alliances. Therefore, I will schedule out a timeline to carry out this plan calmly and efficiently. Once committed to their attendance at my meeting, I will meet with the nations of each alliance individually. First, France, Britain, and Russia, 1 week after hearing word back from my representatives. By the next week, I will see Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. In these gatherings, I will kindly ask for their cooperation once the two alliances meet. 2 weeks after, the main congressional will be held. We will discuss the pros in joining together, as well as the disadvantages of war. To keep this agreement in place permanently, paperwork will be signed to either sides so that they uphold their word of oath. Therefore, these nations will be in collaboration with one another, sharing resources, businesses, and support. The idea of war will subside, and these countries will live in harmony with one another. Another major cause for World War I was militarism. Militarism is the belief belief or desire of a government or people that a country should maintain a strong military capability and be prepared to use it aggressively to defend or promote national interests. To help avoid this, I plan to set a limit on the amount and size of warships that can be built. This way, countries would still have enough available resources to put towards their other economical needs. Higher military spending reduces the productivity capacity of the economy. By putting a limit on how much time, energy, and funding is put towards military-based needs, I can focus support on other needed areas of the country. In order to do this, I require mutual cooperation and sacrifice. A conference place is required for the meeting of each nation so that I might present this new law. Here, the opposing parties must discuss what they want and what they're willing to negotiate in order to pertain to this agreement. Each nation must also respect the mediator's position as one who neither gains nor loses from the agreement of the opposing parties. To carry this out, I would suggest intervals of 2-hour sessions of direct meetings with leaders from each country individually. We would then hold recess breaks every 2 hours. This process would continue for about 1 to 2 weeks until the final negotiations are made and my limit on the militarism agreement is put into place. If every nation is under this limit, it will put an end towards their military competition with one another, therefore preventing burnout. Each country would not have to compete to build the biggest army, therefore avoiding rivalry, tension, and suspicions of each other. Armies would not have to be tested, and no nation would feel the need to prove themselves the best. The militaries would all be unique to themselves and serve the nations for their main purpose, to protect. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for coming along and helping me prevent World War I.
What's World War I?